welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're doing something that we've never done before. We usually don't speak about, negative things within wrestling. We usually don't speak about releases. We usually don't speak about, just basically, like I said, just anything that's negative in wrestling. We try to stay more positive. We strictly talk about matches and storylines and things of that nature. However, today, I think it reached the point where we really feel like we want to talk about this new release that happened in R-Truth.
Yeah, R-Truth, as of today, has been released, or not necessarily released. However, his contract will not be renewed with WWE, and now after a 17-year plus long career, he is finally not going to be a WWE signed entertainer, athlete, superstar, and yeah, just obviously a fan favorite. Is not going to be somebody's GOAT. He's not a Triple H. He's not a Shawn Michaels, an Undertaker, but he is a one of a kind guy, and will probably be also one of those most memorable characters in WWE's history books.
Yeah, I have like maybe a 2%, little bit of copium that I'm having, that maybe this is just a big work and Cena's gonna come out on Raw or SmackDown and say, hey, I was the one that got him fired for wasting my time in the ring, or some kind of thing like that, because as we all know, he just faced Cena at Saturday night's main event, and Cena's last few matches that he's having in his whole career. So yeah, I have like a 2% chance of that happening, but it's probably just copium. It's probably not gonna happen. But just, keep that in mind, maybe, just in case it does happen. But yeah, this is just one of the most surprising ones. I mean, we've seen a crazy list of releases this year that happened a little bit earlier, around March or so, somewhere around there. And yeah, it's just been very surprising. Those people are just now starting to get out of their 30-day contracts. The NXT people are starting to wrestle again on the indies very shortly. And yeah, so just to see that we had a set of releases, and then this comes months after. He just had a match on SmackDown as well versus JC Mateo, where he lost, of course. And yeah, he was just one of the last pure comedy characters that we've seen. And even today, it got mentioned that Carlito was also part of the release with R-Truth. So literally your last two comedy characters. Obviously we have the likes of Chelsea Green that's still around, but does that mean people like her are even safe anymore, being that R-Truth got released, somebody you could always rely on? He's never not been there. I can't remember him really ever being injured. Even if they needed him, he always did a good job for what they wanted him to do.
Yeah, I mean, R-Truth, it speaks volumes when most of the time when we had this last batch release, and some wrestlers will make their tweets saying condolences, I hope everybody finds their peace in this, and hope everything goes well for them. But it's when they directly tweet the person, they make full on paragraph posts where they're like, hey, R-Truth, this is guys like he's Carmella said it was like his OG in the locker room. He was a guy he looked up to, and a lot of people he was there for so long, so you got to see so many different faces throughout the company. He was even in NXT for a little while, so just being able to see the development of so many people. He was kind of like the older guy, even though he is one of the youngest looking older guys on the roster. But yeah, it's crazy that he is kind of gone, because like we said, didn't expect this at all. One of the most surprising releases of all time.
Yeah, he's been with the company for so long. He started off as K-Quick with the Road Dogg way back in the day, just rapping their ways down to the ring and whatnot. And then that transformed into what he became today, which is someone that everyone in the crowd loves. When he comes out, he does get pops. When he came out and did that John Cena entrance at Saturday night's main event, it was honestly probably the best moment of that Saturday night's main event, was seeing that entrance. And that's not saying maybe too much, but still, the fact is that people love R-Truth, people were behind R-Truth, and you've seen every part of that on X or Twitter or whatever platform that you were on where you consume wrestling content, because everyone was talking about this, everyone was sad about it. And yeah, it just shows that this is the brutal part about maybe having TKO own WWE, and not as much as we might have hated him, of Vince McMahon, just a soul, just one individual person, rather than a company who's only looking at it as money.
Yeah, I think kind of with this TKO stuff now, whether they are behind the releases or it's Triple H or whoever it might be, it kind of gets rid of that feeling of there's being a thing of a WWE lifer nowadays. So now it kind of just sucks that maybe, I don't know who really is a lifer at this point and how the R-Truth is going, but maybe like a Sheamus. I don't think he's safe. He's a guy who I think is very reliable, just like R-Truth, but do they care about somebody who might be a little bit older than, some of the talent they have currently, and they aren't using as much, and they can just make way for more budget, for whatever reason. So it does suck and is kind of scary now that, like, man, if somebody isn't getting used, there's a good chance when their contract's getting closer and closer to the release day, W might just say, we're not going to renew it, and, hopefully we wish you the best in your future endeavors type of thing.
Yeah, and, to see a company brag every single week about they're making the most money and all this type of stuff, they're counter programming AEW every chance that they get, and they're doing all these things. It's just kind of stupid that somebody who everyone loves, and I'm sure they knew that they'd get a lot of heat for releasing him from the fans. So it's just kind of crazy that they're doing this. But yeah, obviously we wish the best for R-Truth and everything, as well as all the other releases. We've had releases such as Core J, Shotzi, Dakota Kai, the KC Twins. So many releases happened this year, and it's unfortunate that that happened, obviously. But the good part of that is that the wrestling business is booming right now. A lot of indie promotions are doing really good. A lot of the NXT talents that were getting released that are coming up on their contract expiring, they all have bookings coming up, it seems. I've seen Gigi have a ton of bookings coming up. I've seen Dakota, or not Dakota, sorry. I've seen Cora J, Shotzi. Yeah, they're all crushing it right now. They seem like they're going to be perfectly fine because, there's people like AEW, there's people like TNA, there's people like even just the super indies, the GCWs and all that type of stuff. So shout out to all the people released in R-Truth as well. But any last things you want to say with R-Truth?
No, to kind of like to add on to what you said at the end there, like as a kid when somebody got released from WWE back in the day, obviously you weren't really online, so you don't really see that as much. But it's kind of like I don't know what happens to that person. They kind of just fall off a cliff, in your head. But then now, like you mentioned, that the company, like the industry itself, is doing so good. I'm not worried as much because I know R-Truth is somebody who is going to make a ton of money on the independents, going to all of the conventions if he wants to. He can do as many dates as he wants on the indies, and he'll be completely fine. He might even make more money than he will on the indies than he was in WWE. So obviously, as much as is obviously what he wants to do with it, this is his end of his wrestling career as well. I could honestly see that being maybe a reason. Maybe he just announces his retirement soon. I hope not, obviously. But if that is the case, obviously R-Truth is one of the most legendary wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, and just to mention before we leave this video as well, but TNA does have an event coming where they did say that 2 former champions will be coming to TNA. So, maybe one of those people could be R-Truth, and we'll see him as soon as this Thursday, I believe. So, yeah, maybe keep your eyes out for that if you want to keep your eyes peeled for some more R-Truth. That is where we're going to leave this video. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.